Something is passing through our solar system, and it doesn't belong here. Not formed around our sun, not tied to any known planetary system, just moving silently through space on a path that tells us one truth. It came from somewhere else. Scientists call it 3I/Atlas, only the third confirmed interstellar object ever recorded in our cosmic neighborhood. Its path is hyperbolic, meaning it is not bound to the sun. It will not return. It is only passing through. And that confirms something important. It originated in interstellar space, drifting for billions of years between stars. But the real question isn't what it is called, it's what it actually is. A visitor from beyond our system, 3I/Atlas, is not behaving like anything inside our solar system. Most asteroids and comets are locked into predictable paths held by the sun's gravity in repeating orbits that keep them within a familiar structure. But this one breaks that pattern completely. Its path is hyperbolic, meaning it is not bound by the sun. It is not returning. It is simply passing through, like a visitor crossing into a place it does not belong. And that single detail changes everything. Because it confirms with absolute clarity that 3I/Atlas did not originate here. It came from interstellar space, regions between stars where material drifts in darkness for millions, even billions of years before ever crossing another system. Through that journey, it would have moved through extreme cold, radiation, and near total emptiness, until it entered our solar system for a brief, rare encounter, and encounters like this are extremely rare. Only a handful of interstellar objects have ever been detected in human history. Most pass unnoticed. Some are gone before we even realize they were here. That is what makes 3I/Atlas significant. It is not just a passing body, but a direct fragment from another star system reaching us across unimaginable distance. But what exactly is it? Some scientists believe it could be a comet-like structure. Ice, rock, and dust shaped by conditions around another star. Others suggest we simply do not yet have enough data to fully understand its true nature. And that is where science meets uncertainty. Because even if it is entirely natural, it is still one of the rarest discoveries in modern astronomy. But if anything about its behavior or composition is unusual, it could reshape what we know about how planetary systems form across the galaxy. So the question becomes unavoidable. What does it really mean when something from another star system passes silently through ours, and we still don't fully understand it? The mystery of its origin. 3I/Atlas has no known origin inside our solar system, and that changes everything. Unlike objects that can be traced back through predictable orbital histories, this one carries no home address. It is a traveler without a beginning we can identify in our local cosmic neighborhood. Most likely, it began its journey in a distant star system, ejected by violent gravitational shifts, planetary collisions, or the chaotic early formation of worlds we will never directly observe. Once released, it would have drifted alone through the darkness of space. No star to orbit, no warmth to follow, no direction to return to. Just motion, continuing across distances so vast they are difficult to imagine. And at some point, by pure chance, it entered our solar system. That is what makes this encounter so powerful. It is not just passing through space, it is crossing time itself. This object may have been traveling longer than human civilization has even existed, and that realization forces a deeper question. Are objects like this extremely rare, or are they constantly moving through the galaxy unnoticed? Even today, we don't have a clear answer, and that uncertainty is now one of the biggest open questions in astronomy, because every new detection suggests something bigger, that our solar system is not isolated. It is part of a constantly shifting galactic environment filled with fragments from distant, unknown worlds, and that is where curiosity turns into uncertainty. 3I/Atlas becomes more than a discovery. It becomes a reminder that space is active, not empty. A place where silent travelers cross paths with us without warning, without sound, and often without ever being noticed. And that leads to a deeper realization. We are not just observing the universe, we are moving through it, alongside countless unseen histories from worlds we will never reach. How 3I/Atlas was first detected. 3I/Atlas was not discovered. It was noticed hiding inside routine sky data. At first, it looked like any other faint point moving across a dense background of stars. Ordinary, unremarkable, the kind of signal that usually blends into thousands of similar readings. But something about its motion broke the rules of normal orbital behavior. It did not follow a predictable path around the sun. Instead, its trajectory suggested something entirely different, a path that enters and leaves without returning. That was the first warning sign. As measurements improved, astronomers began refining its movement more carefully. With each update, the pattern became harder to reconcile with known solar system dynamics. This was no longer a standard orbit. It was a one-time passage, a brief crossing through our region before continuing outward again. And that realization changed everything. What began as routine monitoring quickly turned into focused analysis. Observatories around the world redirected attention toward this single moving source, trying to understand its origin and nature. Because events like this are not common. And when they do appear, they challenge assumptions that usually remain untested. Every new calculation added more uncertainty, but also increased significance. This was no longer just about tracking motion. It was about identifying origin. Where did it come from? What conditions shaped its journey? And how did it arrive here, across distances that stretch far beyond human timescales? 3I/Atlas was no longer just a moving point in observational data. It had become a question traveling through our solar system. And the deeper it was studied, the clearer one conclusion became. We were not observing something local. We were witnessing something that came from beyond our solar system. What it means for us 3I/Atlas is not just a discovery. It is a shift in how we understand our place in the universe. For most of human history, we imagined our solar system as a closed and stable environment, planets moving in predictable order with little influence from anything beyond its boundaries. But objects like this challenge that assumption completely. They reveal that our cosmic neighborhood is not isolated. It is part of a larger, interconnected system where material from distant star systems can travel across unimaginable distances and still reach us. And when it does, it carries something far more valuable than motion. It carries information shaped by worlds we have never seen. 3I/Atlas becomes more than a physical object. It becomes a kind of cosmic evidence, silent proof that other planetary systems exist, evolve, and sometimes eject fragments that eventually cross our path. Not as communication, but as natural record keepers of conditions far beyond our reach. And that is what makes it scientifically important, because studying it could help us understand how planetary systems form elsewhere, whether our own system is rare or common, and how matter behaves after leaving the influence of a star. We begin to see a bigger picture forming. Different systems, different histories, different environments, all leaving traces that occasionally drift into ours. But beyond science, there is perspective. We are only beginning to notice these travelers. Objects that may have been moving through space for billions of years, long before we ever had the ability to observe them, which means many more may have already passed through unnoticed. So 3I/Atlas is not just a discovery. It is a reminder that we are looking into a universe far larger, older, and more active than we ever imagined. And that realization leads to one final question. What else has already crossed our path in the vastness of space without us ever noticing? The galaxy is not as empty as it looks. It may just be the first time we've noticed. For a long time, interstellar objects were seen as extreme exceptions, rare visitors entering our solar system from deep space. But that idea becomes less certain as we begin to understand how the galaxy actually works. Because the galaxy is not still or empty. It is constantly in motion. Every star system goes through violent formation stages where gravity pulls, collisions reshape worlds, and unstable material is thrown outward with enough force to escape forever. These fragments are not destroyed, they are ejected. And once that happens, they become wanderers. No orbit, no star, no destination, just endless drifting through the darkness between stars. Over billions of years, this creates something we are only beginning to understand: a hidden population of objects moving silently across the galaxy. Most of them will never be seen, not because they are rare, but because our detection window is too small and the distances are too vast. And this is where 3I/Atlas stops being an object and becomes evidence. Evidence that these travelers can reach us, and that changes everything. Because if one object can enter our solar system from another star system, then countless others may have already done the same without us ever knowing. Too faint, too small, too fast, or simply passing at the wrong moment in time. A few conditions, and an entire population disappears from our awareness, which means our understanding of the galaxy is built on a very limited frame of observation. So 3I/Atlas is not the exception. It is the first confirmed glimpse of a constant cosmic flow we are only beginning to recognize. And that leads to one final question. How many more have already passed us, without ever leaving a trace we could see? What 3I/Atlas reveals about the galaxy? 3I/Atlas is not just a rare object. It may be evidence that the galaxy is far more connected than we ever assumed. For a long time, the galaxy was viewed as a collection of separate star systems, each forming, evolving, and ending within its own boundaries. But discoveries like this begin to challenge that idea at a deeper level. Because what we are seeing is not isolation, it is a connection. Across the violent birth and death of stars, immense forces constantly reshape surrounding material. In these extreme environments, some fragments are not held back. They are thrown outward with enough energy to escape entirely. It is not a gentle process, it is an expulsion. And once released, these fragments lose all structure. No orbit, no central star, no return path. Only endless drifting through the vast region between stellar systems. This is where a hidden reality begins to form. A vast, untracked presence of wandering material moving across the galaxy. A realization moment emerges here. A continuous background of motion we are barely capable of detecting. Most of it remains invisible, not because it is rare, but because our observational reach is still extremely limited compared to the scale it exists in. And this is where 3I/Atlas stops being an object and becomes evidence of a hidden cosmic pattern. It confirms that material from distant systems can physically reach our own region. And that shifts everything, because it suggests the galaxy is not a collection of isolated systems, but a continuously exchanging environment shaped by constant movement. What once looked like empty space is actually a field of ongoing activity we rarely perceive. So 3I/Atlas is not just a discovery. It is a signal that we are part of a much larger cosmic flow still unfolding around us. 3I/Atlas leaves us with more than data. It leaves us with a changed perspective of our place in the universe. For a long time, the solar system was imagined as something enclosed and self-contained, a local arrangement of planets and debris moving within fixed boundaries. But discoveries like this begin to break that assumption, because the solar system is not isolated. It is part of a much larger environment where material from distant star systems can drift across unimaginable distances and cross into our region without warning. At this point, the idea of emptiness begins to fade. A hidden reality becomes more likely. A continuous presence of drifting fragments moving through the wider cosmic environment, most of which we never detect. Not because they are rare, but because our observation window is extremely narrow compared to the scale of what exists. And 3I/Atlas sits at the edge of what we thought we understood. It is not just a passing visitor. It is a sign that our local region is being crossed by material from elsewhere far more often than we can confirm. This shifts everything. Empty becomes active, separate becomes connected, stable becomes constantly changing. And 3 I/Atlas is only a single moment where this larger reality becomes visible. It does not complete the picture, it expands it. It suggests that what we call our solar system is not an isolated system, but an intersection point within a far larger flow of cosmic motion. And that realization leads to a final reflection. We are not standing outside the universe, observing it from a distance. We are inside it, moving through a reality that is constantly in motion around us. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to Brainy Bites, and turn on notifications, because what we don't see might already be all around us.